After the '69 season, I think we got into some contract disputes.
Was eliminating the media and the writers.
You know, some of the press was not too kind.
Steve Carlton showed so much promise that baseball seemed easy for him. He won 4 Cy Young Awards, struck out over 4,000 batters, and looked unstoppable. But his story took a dark turn that nobody saw coming. His career had 2 major collapses. The first happened in 1970, when he was still young and building his reputation with the St. Louis Cardinals. That year, he posted a terrible 6-18 record. The problem was simple but deadly. He stopped throwing his slider, the pitch that made him special. Without it, batters figured him out fast. His mechanics fell apart and his confidence disappeared. Carlton was headed for 20 losses and possible failure. But he found an unusual way out. A fan sent him a letter about positive thinking and meditation. Carlton tried it and something clicked. He started visualizing success and clearing his mind before games. He finished the season with 4 straight wins and barely avoided becoming a 20-game loser. This experience changed him forever. Carlton became obsessed with self-reliance. He believed his mind could overcome anything. He later added strange training methods like plunging his hands into barrels of rice to build strength. After a money fight with the Cardinals, they traded him to the Philadelphia Phillies in 1972. That trade woke up a giant. Carlton exploded in his first season with Philadelphia. He won 27 games for a last-place team that only won 59 times all year. That means he personally won almost half of his team's victories. He led the league in wins, strikeouts, and earned run average. He won his first Cy Young Award and became a legend. Over the next decade, Carlton dominated baseball. He won 3 more Cy Young Awards in 1977, 1980, and 1982. He led the league in strikeouts 5 times. But he also became known as the Silent One. He refused to talk to reporters for years. He built a wall between himself and the outside world. This was not about being shy. Carlton was smart and well-read. His silence came from extreme focus. He poured all his energy into pitching and his unique training. But this same stubborn independence would later hurt him badly. The slider that made Carlton great also planted the seeds of his destruction. Back in 1969, when he first wanted to use the pitch regularly, his Cardinals pitching coach Billy Muffet warned him. Muffet said the slider puts more strain on your arm than a fastball or curve. He told Carlton to be careful. Carlton ignored the long-term risk because the pitch worked so well. It helped him strike out the famous Japanese slugger Sadaharu Oh during an exhibition tour. It gave him control over right-handed batters who were sitting on his fastball. The slider became his signature weapon. For nearly 2 decades, that pitch dominated hitters across the National League. But the human arm can only take so much stress. Every slider Carlton threw was grinding down the ligaments and muscles in his shoulder and elbow. By his late 30s, the damage was adding up. The same pitch that built his Hall of Fame career was now tearing it down. Carlton's training methods, as unique as they were, could not stop the natural breakdown of his arm. He had developed one of the most unusual workout routines in baseball. Besides the rice bucket exercises for grip strength, he practiced intense visualization techniques, borrowed from martial arts. He would imagine perfect pitches before throwing them. He studied Eastern philosophy and applied it to his craft. These methods worked when his body was young and resilient. They helped him maintain peak performance longer than most pitchers. But by 1985, no amount of mental preparation could overcome the physical reality. The cartilage was worn down. The tendons were stretched beyond their limit. The shoulder that had fired thousands of sliders was simply used up. If you're enjoying this breakdown of Carlton's rise and fall, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling me which baseball legend I should cover next. By the mid-1980s, Carlton's body started breaking down. In 1985, he started the season 1-8 before arm problems put him on the injured list for the rest of the year. The warning signs were clear. His slider, the pitch his coach warned would strain his arm back in 1969, had taken its toll. In 1986, at age 41, Carlton started the season horribly. He went 4-8 with a 6.18 earned run average in 16 starts. The Phillies, the The team he led for 15 years released him. They told him it was time to retire, but Carlton refused. He was only 18 strikeouts away from 4,000 for his career. That number became an obsession. If he could reach it, he would be only the second pitcher in history to do so after Nolan Ryan. So Carlton signed with the San Francisco Giants. He got those 18 strikeouts quickly and then did something strange. He announced his retirement, saying he had reached his goal and it was best for everyone. But it was all a trick. His agent was already working on a deal with the Chicago White Sox. 4 days after retiring, Carlton came out of retirement. He pitched for the White Sox and gave up 6 runs in 3 innings in his first start. Nothing had actually improved. The 1986 season showed Carlton bouncing between 3 different teams. After the Phillies released him, he joined the Giants to get his milestone. Then came the fake retirement and the move to Chicago. Overall that year, he went 9-14 with a combined whip of 1.60. These were not the numbers of an elite pitcher. They were the numbers of someone desperately hanging on. But Carlton kept going. His mind told him he could still compete, even though his body was screaming the opposite. This disconnect between mental belief and physical reality defined his final seasons. Carlton had spent so many years training his mind to overcome obstacles that he could not accept the one obstacle that defeats everyone. Age and injury are undefeated. No amount of meditation or positive visualization can rebuild damaged arm tissue. No amount of mental toughness can restore velocity that is gone forever. But Carlton's psychological framework did not allow for surrender. The same mental strength that saved him in 1970 now trapped him in a cycle of denial. He believed that if he just focused harder, trained smarter, and willed himself to succeed, his arm would respond. But bodies do not work that way. The physical decline was irreversible, and every start only made it worse. His final years became a desperate journey across 5 teams. After the Phillies cut him, he played for the Giants, White Sox, Cleveland Indians, and Minnesota Twins. He was chasing something that was already gone. In 1987, split between the Indians and Twins, Carlton pitched 32 games. His record was 6-14. His whip, which measures walks and hits allowed per inning, rose to 1.65. That was 32% worse than his career average of 1.25. He was allowing over 1.5 base runners every inning. Teams kept giving him chances because of his name and his history, but every start made it more obvious that Steve Carlton, the dominant pitcher, was gone. What remained was a 42-year-old man with a broken arm trying to will himself back to greatness. The physical skills that once made him unstoppable had vanished. His fastball had no speed. His slider had no bite. Hitters who once feared him now teed off on his pitches. The end came quickly in 1988. Carlton made the Twins roster, but only pitched 4 games. His final numbers were catastrophic. He went 0-1 with a 16.76 earned run average. His whip exploded to 2.59, meaning he allowed nearly 3 base runners per inning. He had completely lost the ability to locate his pitches. On April 23, 1988, after giving up 8 runs in just 5 innings, the Twins released Carlton. No other team signed him. His 24-year career was over. There is one final story that captures Carlton's mysterious personality. In 1988, the Twins visited President Reagan at the White House. Carlton appeared in the team photo, but when newspapers printed the picture, they did not identify him as a player. They called him an unidentified Secret Service agent. Even at the end, Carlton remained invisible. The tragedy of Steve Carlton is that his greatest strength became his greatest weakness. His belief in self-reliance helped him overcome the 1970 collapse. Meditation and mental training turned him into a Hall of Fame pitcher. But that same stubborn belief made him ignore reality when his body broke down. The Phillies tried to give him a dignified exit. Instead, Carlton chose to chase a milestone across 5 teams in 2.5 years. His final stats were ugly. A 16.76 earned run average and a whip of 2.59 are numbers that belong to a minor leaguer, not a legend. Watching one of the greatest pitchers ever reduced to a journeyman posting terrible numbers was heartbreaking, but it was also honest. It showed the fierce, uncompromising, competitive will that defined Carlton from start to finish. He never quit, even when he should have. Carlton was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1994. His 329 wins rank among the best in history. He will always be remembered for his dominance, but his final years remind us that even the strongest will must eventually surrender to time. Before you go, make sure to like this video and comment below with your thoughts on how athletes should know when to retire. Should teams force legends out, or should players have the final say? Let me know what you think.